Let's you on 3. Hambone.
Coming up on today's show, we'll talk firearm registration bill. They don't want the president to have his own library, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter show.
Hambone.
That's what he was singing, wasn't it?
Don't you think that President Trump could pay for his own library?
They don't want him to have one.
I mean, this is like burning books while they're being printed.
Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you today?
I'm offended. I'm offended.
On behalf of somebody, or
Well, yeah. Nobody really bothers me. I'm offended that the left or a group of people who think they mean well, don't want the pick a number 75 million of us, 75 million who voted for President Donald Trump at least once. They don't want us to have any memory of his terms or his term in office.
Have you noticed how they do not dispute that number at all? Because if they did, they would have to admit that voter fraud exists.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do that.
No.
But the idea that it's like I just said, we're burning books as they're coming off the press. It's one thing to burn books. It's another thing to be in a position where you go, we're just going to cancel him right now. And we're going to show you Republicans, or you rightists, or you people that don't believe the way we believe, we're just going to show you right now, Ash, he can't have a library. There you go. He doesn't even get a presidential library. Meanwhile, George H.W. Bush, interesting guy, huge criminal, loved, worshipped over in College Station. LBJ, huge criminal, huge. I mean, it's been argued for decades, was involved in the plot to kill Kennedy. Huge library in Austin, Texas. But Donald Trump, oh no, he can't have a presidential library because, well, people liked him. He was like Hitler, He was like Hitler. Yeah.
He was Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, all rolled up into one.
I wish he'd have rounded up all the stupid people. Is that genocide? Dumbicide.
There you go.
Get all the idiots. Get them out of here.
Let's do this.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. It's 43 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high of 66. That's Kinder, Gentler Brent, brought to you by Deerland Feed.
Seed potatoes are in, folks. Now's the time. I stopped by there Friday. They were
You saw somebody getting them, didn't you? Somebody was there. Was it Dale?
Dale was there. Lots of people were in getting their seed potatoes. I grew so many potatoes and ate so many potatoes as a kid. I really don't have an affinity for
Well, the vodka, the Russian connection. Do you get a feeling that Dale Zook might be somewhat of like a professional visitor? Like is he the guy? Is he the guy that sits on the bench at the mall and waves at people right there by the cookie factory? No?
No.
He's too busy, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was here Friday morning, then he was getting seed potatoes Friday at lunch.
No, he's a great guy. I was just trying to razz him a little in case he was listening.
But no, they've got the seed potatoes. So see who's in this morning. Scott Tomko, good morning. Justin Glass checking in. Patrick Strauss, good morning. Judge Posey's in.
Good morning,
H.R. Mallory.
Good morning, Judge.
It's what is it? Palindrome Day, right? 02/01/2021.
No, it's 2/1/21.
There you go.
That's what makes it work.
There you go. Thanks.
Yeah.
Marvin Mikish, good morning. There's Commissioner Ives checking in.
Commish, good morning.
Bobcat Wadley, good morning. Sheriff Lauterbach, Robin Moore Knipling, Chris Conrad, Jeremy Pena.
Saw Pat Knipling over the weekend. Now, his son, I don't want to get it wrong, it's Colton, I think. I could be wrong. Mr. Knipling, the younger, is a real serious fisherman and was in a tournament this last weekend where the pot was like 120 grand, and they had the biggest stringer, and the kid and his team won $41,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure they wanted you to blab that everywhere, so the IRS is now aware of it.
The 1099 came from a nonprofit organization.
Morning, BJ Nelson, Byron Burris checking in, Amanda Smith King, Vanessa Didier, Bree Hanchett, good morning.
I saw Amanda Smith King this weekend. She and Ricky were out at the drive-by. This is what it's come to now in the COVID era. The drive-by birthday party for little Blake Bloschke. So we drove by and peppered the ground with 9mm shots. Just it was a drive-by.
You want to see him dance?
I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I took out a window and a porch light.
My nephew had one of those last weekend.
Yeah. Did you hear some static?
No, I'm losing.
I did. I heard some static. It's not good. Bobby
Leister checking in. Leisterometer at 742. Mark Zapata, good morning. Terry Murray's in. Rena Scherer.
Clint Ives called that fishing tournament the freeze out.
Scott Snow, good morning.
So there you go.
So yeah, Washington Post article. You ranted already about it, but Washington Post article saying that our 45th president should not have a presidential library, which again, I don't understand why, other than they're trying to cancel anything and erase. But it's what they do. They rewrite history to suit their fancy and their needs, right?
Well, I don't get it. I mean, it never crossed my mind that at some point Donald Trump would probably spend his own money and build the Trump Presidential Library and Casino and hotel.
To be honest, that might be the only way you get people to a presidential library.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, have you been to? I've been to Dallas. Isn't that where W's is? I've never even driven by.
Yeah, it's an SMU.
Never driven by it. Yeah, his wife told him where it was going to be.
I was in Columbia, Missouri, and the Harry S. Truman Library was closed for renovations or repairs, so I couldn't get there for that. But
yeah, I don't get it.
I was going to go, but yeah. Now, BJ Nelson says the libraries are privately funded, so why do they care?
Great point. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I really don't. It's just another thing that they want to, But then they do this. Just listen to this, folks. Listen to the condescending tone.
Oh, this is your
vice president.
By the way, this is y'all's vice president, whether you like her or not.
So it's job creation around investing in American manufacturing, job creation in terms of investing in American infrastructure and building back up American infrastructure, job creation around, for example, all of those skilled workers who are in the coal industry and transferring those skills to what we need to do in terms of dealing with reclaiming abandoned landmines, what we need to do.
So there's your vice president. Did you hear the tone? It's unmistakable. She says those skilled workers in the coal industry, they can go around and reclaim land mines. Now, I think what she meant was they could help repurpose the land like you do, like they did the quarry, for example, in San Antonio, where they had taken out all the limestone, and then now there's a golf course there. The problem is, she said landmines, which is what, blow up.
Yeah, we're going to send them all to Africa
to pick up land
and to the former Yugoslavia to go reclaim abandoned landmines. They're going to be minesweepers.
I just don't. What really stuck me originally, before you and I ever spoke of it, is the tone of these skilled, it's like so-called, these people that allegedly have skills. It's
almost like she was mocking.
She was
their ability and and speaking down to them because they're coal miners.
And she's the vice president, so of course she's above them.
But it continues the rhetoric what we heard from Joe Biden last week, where he was talking about, or John Kerry said that all these former oil field workers can go build wind turbines, remember? Or solar panels.
He said it so flippantly that, hey, if they're not happy, they can just go build. Solar panels.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, John. Yeah. I mean, what if they enjoyed what they do? I don't know. I mean, just because John Kerry's never worked, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
The whole time he was in the military, he was whining.
Yeah.
He wasn't soldiering. He was whining.
No.
You gotta marry. You gotta admire his ability to marry for funds, though.
Yeah, because I mean, not only does it once, he does it twice.
It's crazy. He owns your ketchup company.
Yeah. It's interesting. Folks like Anna Nicole Smith get mocked for doing that. John Kerry gets a free pass.
Perpetual PC. Richard King says they can't build any of that stuff without oil because it takes oil to make all the stuff that they're making. So, all the plastic, all the parts, they're all petroleum-based products.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. They want everybody to switch to an electric vehicle. GM yesterday announces in 15 years they're not going to make any more vehicles with combustion engines. But they make it seem like, where's all the energy going to come from to power everybody's electrical vehicles? We're already in issues in many states where when the power consumption is so high, they're doing rolling brownouts to alleviate the gridlock on the power grid.
Right.
And the overloading of the power grid. So all of a sudden they want more electricity to be consumed. Everybody's going to go home. Remember those ads a few years ago? Well, in the evening, don't run your dishwasher. Don't do your laundry. Try not to run your air conditioner between, 5 and 9 at night.
Brilliant.
Because everybody's home doing the same thing, right? So now everybody's going to go home and plug in their electric cars. And where is this power, the extra power that are already at capacity grids, is magically going to appear from? Solar panels don't do it at that scale.
BJ Nelson says, you really think they've thought that through? Janelle says, hey, do they get training for this, or they just magically go in and start making? We used to be coal miners. Now we make solar panels.
Well, they're so skilled. Should be easy for them.
Sure.
If you listen to the condescension. Thank you.
Condensation works. Good
Glasses,
morning, Matt Bush.
Glasses fog up when you come out of the mine.
Right. Worked hard in that yard yesterday, Matthew. Hard.
Christina Wise, good morning.
Caden helped me a lot. We got out there and turned all the soil in the flower beds and got all the weeds out and raked everything down and mowed the yard once.
BJ Nelson says, she asked have they thought it through. They don't think any of this through, BJ.
No, they don't.
Kind of like when they said that there was no way. I got into this debate over the weekend about, Biden and his 1 million a day vaccination plan for the COVID vaccine. And we were pretty much already there. And then now more data is coming out that we're even closer to that mark. So Biden says, well, we're going to move that. We're going to move that mark. We're going to keep moving the goalposts, kind of like they've always done since the start of this thing, right?
Right.
But trying to argue that the federal government had no funding for the states, no plan for the states, and in the same breath says some states did it well, other states didn't. So, okay, you just pointed out the problem. It isn't the federal government's fault. It's the states that had no ability to manage this at their level is the problem. And to make it seem like this is the only vaccination rollout we've ever done in the history of the world is another asinine argument.
This is the one we feel the best about.
That they try to, again, pin it on the federal government and the former administration. We roll out hundreds of millions of doses of the flu vaccine every year. every year. Are there some logistical challenges with this one because it has to be kept at like minus 800 degrees Fahrenheit? Yes. But we knew that going in. Pfizer didn't hide that until the last minute going, oh, by the way, here it is, but you got to keep it really, really cold.
Legit point.
We knew this. So the infrastructure was already being developed. We've managed to roll it out to the point of almost getting to 100 or 1 million doses a day.
To save 300 lives.
And the states. Yeah.
That's your guy. That's your guy, Joe B.
And the states are having the problems. 66,000 doses went bad in New York because New York is moronic and can't figure it out once it gets to their doorstep. Then they're going to blame the porch pirates who go and steal that. They're blaming everybody but them for not securing the 66,000 or having a plan for those 66,000 that went to waste, and nobody's blaming Cuomo or even mad at him.
Did you see Greg Garcia said his 9-year-old daughter Shelby is a faithful listener of the show and wanted to say hi. Good morning, Shelby. You're probably our youngest top fan. I mean, Ryland sleeps on the way to school, and Caden's 12, so
he's on his phone.
T-Lat sometimes sleeps on the way to the bus.
BJ Nelson asked, why can't Walgreens, hospitals buy the vaccinations from the manufacturers? Why do we need the government as the middleman? Also, the government doesn't need to be paying for it.
Now, BJ, you know the answer to that because the government is here to help. The government makes everything work smoother. Come on.
Well, I think in this case, in order for these companies to even start the vaccine, they had to have some
funding from the government.
And the government was, that was where you're going to get the money to get it done.
Did you see what Elon Musk said about Richard King points out that said there wouldn't be enough power on the electrical grid to charge an all-electric fleet. Yeah. They still can't get past the fact. You've seen these little remote control cars. The lighter they are, the longer they run. You're moving weight. You're not going to move freight around this country with electrical vehicles. You're just not. You ever see a big rig going up a hill? You see that big puff of black smoke come out of the stack from diesel. It's because that's what it takes to generate torque. You can get lots of torque out of an electric motor, but you can't get it for very long.
No. Well, you're going to need a trailer full of electric motors just to haul the two trailers behind you.
Absolutely. Shelby, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a faithful listener. Greg, thank you.
I'm glad you enjoy the show at your age.
Yeah, well, clearly a top-notch intellectual child. A young lady.
I question why she's listening to this show.
I don't know that.
Melissa Fraser, good morning to you. Christina Wise says that would be one long extension cord.
BJ, it's funny you say that. She said, has Joe Biden ever driven a truck? I doubt it. Honestly, he's been in Congress 48 years. He's been driven around.
He drives a Ridgeline.
Right. On the Ridgeline. Yeah. It is a truck. Stop it. It's got a lift kit and everything. Folks, it's going to take us a minute.
Skit on YouTube. Truck Club.
Give us a minute.
Or Truck Gang. And when you drive by somebody who's driving a pickup truck, you got to flash them the T sign. Have you seen that one?
No.
And then they just drive by a Ridgeline and they don't know what to do.
They don't know exactly what to do with that. Tell you what, if it's broken down, you call Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen doesn't judge. Allen doesn't nudge. No. Allen tows.
He tows.
578-6300. Allen's Wrecker Service will get you where you need to be. It's really pretty simple. We've let them lead off the sponsorship role for, 2 years now, because we like saying Allen's Wrecker Service. That's the only reason, really. He doesn't require it.
No.
But 578-6300, ladies, for real, put that number in your phone. Put AAA Allen's so that when you do need a tow, it pops up. It's your first number in your phone.
Put it on your favorites. It'll be right at the top.
And then put 575-9509 so that the Wayne Carter Show is your second favorite number
to not call.
Allen's Wrecker Service. The VCS companies, Rocket, Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication empire. They're right there on Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off of Main Street. for all your communication, security, surveillance, for all of those needs. Anything to do with, from a brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max and all the accessories, an iPad, all the way down to and including the ranch radio that started the whole company. Reach out to VCS. The other day I was driving in and there was a brand new sheriff's Tahoe coming out. And
Really?
the young deputy said, hey, I just picked it up. All my radios are up and running, and this vehicle is outfitted and ready to serve. And hats off to the VCS companies for that. Chesapeake Furniture Company, 101 years, downtown Victoria, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Really everything you need for your home. Washers, dryers, televisions.
Any room in the house.
Yeah, you've got beds, Tempur-Pedic bedding, all types of furniture, custom furniture. Go in and say, well, I like that sofa, but I don't like it in cloth, and I want a different arm, and I want it up off the ground so my room will go under it, and I want it in or pleather.
Rich Corinthian leather.
Or I want the Chrysler Cordoba package. That's the blade. Shut up, Tetra. And then Veracruz, today's a great Monday to get back in. The guacamole is going to be fresh. You know, sometimes by Friday it's getting a little dark. Not really. It's perfect every day. Queso, hot sauce. Lee and Ida will be in a great mood. We're sneaking up on the Super Bowl. They're huge football fans.
This weekend.
So, yeah, Ash is going to give us an update any moment now about what happened at the Senior Bowl this weekend. Probably not. And, hey, while we're here, how about this, folks? A bonus. We have a new sponsor. I'm going to throw in the law offices of Steve Kidder. I visited Stephen on Friday afternoon, and basically he's.
Were they billable hours or was it happy hours?
He billed us. We billed him. It ended up being a wash, but only the government made money.
15-minute meeting, right?
But he can do anything. I mean, nobody wants to talk about family law, but Stephen can help you with that. Wills, estates, civil disagreements. He is a very experienced. Sometimes you just need somebody that can navigate the court system in Victoria, and Stephen is always around the courthouse. So he actually lives behind the courthouse there under a bush with a couple of guys from Ganado. No, not really. The law offices of Steve Kidder, folks. No humor intended. Great guy, great friend of the show, and now a sponsor. We're proud to have him. There you go. Let's just jump right back into all that content you brought on a Monday, because there's tons to talk about on a Monday.
Tons.
There you go.
See, Garza checking in.
By the way, and you know what? Let's just take an aside right there.
Should we introduce all?
Well, we should just introduce them all. Dana Moore de la Garza is another new sponsor of the Wade and Carter program. Dana is a unique individual because she does everything as pertains to your funeral, to your arrangements. She can not only help you. Let's just start. You want to prepay your funeral. You want to be done with that. You're actually responsible.
You don't want to leave that burden on those who are now grieving over your loss or celebrating it.
Or they just want to get on with the party.
Yeah, exactly.
She can help you up front. She can help you through, say, Memory Gardens with a plot. She can help you through Grace Funeral Home with the service. She can help you determine a budget for your funeral. There's nothing worse than being forced to make what end up being expensive decisions at a time when you're very emotional. You can sit down and plan for your funeral or your demise, if you will. You can sit down with Dana and she can tell you, well, this is what I'm seeing. A lot of people are being, cremated and then, if you want to be in a Folgers can, then that's up to you. But she can help you make those decisions. And she said, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a couple of months and see if my name getting out there helps me help some other people. She's very busy, but is encouraged to try and help her business grow. I like
Myers says navigating funerals is a huge deal. Glad that Dana saw the need.
Well, and I'll tell you this, not speaking out of school. There's no HIPAA involved. She came by and just took care of everything for my mom and dad. Years and years ago, my mom and dad had bought plots at Memory Gardens, and over the course of time, there's been some accumulation and some what do you call it? They've been acquired, and now Dana came out and visited with my folks and said, "Well, here's what we can do." My mother, I was not in the meeting, but you could hear my mother.
The glass to the door.
Yeah, like, is there anything for me? No, but it was. My mother felt comfortable asking Dana what were just very personal questions. What are you seeing? What are people doing? So I thought that was really neat. And we're going to get her on the air to tell you. Surely some of you have questions about what do we do at that moment? And how can I take that burden off my family? And that's the business she's in, the burden removal business.
Yeah. Very much so. And happy to bring aboard Terry Murray at Motto Mortgage as well. Your dream, our expertise is kind of what they live by. And they can help you with conventional, FHA, VA, reverse mortgages, purchase and refinancing on 1 to 4 family properties. They have, and Terry's been in this business a long time. She is very good at what she does. She's been trusted by generations of Victorians. And now she's back in the game at Motto Mortgage right there on Navarro. In the old HEB shopping center next to Sally Beauty Supplies, if you know where that is.
Kind of back by Dragon Palace, yep. Jason's Deli.
Yep. Kind of right in between Sally's and Jason's Deli. There's Motto Mortgage, so stop on by.
Get you some hairspray, get you a sandwich, and refi your house.
Yeah, and you can give her a call at 541-5454 as well. But
and we'll have numbers for Steve Kidder and Dana Moore here, Dana Delegars. For those of you that don't know, and most of you put the pieces together, Dana is the child bride of Raphael Ricky Delagarza, city council member and great friend of the show. So it's good to have these folks have been listening for years. It's great to have them join the program
and trusting us with their brands, and we hope we can build them.
Yeah, it would mean a ton to us if you just reached out to these people. I mean, if just call Steve Kidder and say, "Hey, I don't need a lawyer right now, but if I do, I'll give you a ring."
I visited with Terry, and she's a mortgage broker, so they have access to a lot of lenders that can really, really help you find the best rate and the best program for your buying situation or your refinancing. So
there you go.
Give her a holler when you get a chance. And like I said, she's been in Victoria and in the business for a long time and really knows her stuff. So glad to have Motto Mortgage on board as well. Clayton Meyer checking in. Good morning to you, Clayton. What was that?
Calvin Shear's talking about Joe Biden. He said he's still rolling around in a Hudson following Miss Daisy. I tell you what, it's a tough crowd.
It is a tough crowd. The Lincoln Project, those of you that may have been familiar, this was Kellyanne Conway's husband, right? Absolutely hated Donald Trump and helped found the Lincoln Project or got involved with the Lincoln Project. I think he's an attorney. But got involved, over the weekend, turns out one of their founders, married gentleman, might have had a strong interest in young boys.
I had read a deal too. I read it as a headline. It said that, the founder of the Lincoln Project was headed up by a bunch of pedophiles. Good morning, Dee Ramirez. Yeah. Mr. Hartman, good morning, sir. Jim Hartman checks in.
John Weaver, one of the co-founders, apparently a young man came forward and said that he had been sent text messages and other means of communication since he was about 14 years old by this John Weaver dude.
So there should be proof, right? I mean, surely somewhere in there he kept a few of those.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's interesting to me, Ash, that we're hearing, and those of you that listen to the
the New York Times even reported this. I mean, they couldn't ignore it. As much as the Times hated Trump, they couldn't ignore this one when you have the Lincoln Project co-founder.
There is a lot of smoke out there right now that in the deep state and in the bowels, if you will, of the globe, that there's this, just say what the story is, somewhat satanic pedophile ring, and they go, and it goes back to Jeffrey Epstein, and then the Clintons were involved, and it gets on into this deal. And at some point, the normal, rational American just goes, "Oh, that's garbage. That's ridiculous." And then you hear these things, and then you hear that these people hated Donald Trump, and then you wonder, is it true that Trump was going to expose these people? Is it true? Most of us don't know anybody that we would even think of as being a pedophile. We just call that sick, so nobody talks about it. Oh, that's sick. Well, I've heard for months that Donald Trump was going to expose these people. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but then when you find out that somebody really hated him enough that it basically cost his wife her job, she left. Interesting. I don't get it. How about on a Monday? By the way, today is the first day of February 2021. There's only 28 days in February. There's only 28.
But it's always the longest month of the year.
So here's what we're going to do. Forget your January 1st resolutions and pick something positive you want to do. If you really want to get up every morning and spend 20 minutes reading your Bible, then do it. Do it for the month of February. I've read that anything that you're willing to do for 21 straight days can become a habit. And boy, I hope Don's not listening.
28 days, doesn't that get you out of rehab?
Right. Well, a man like you, they may want to go the full 30. But I'm thinking that if there's something that you want, hey, if you want to get up early, listen to us, and then hit the road working at 7:30, man, do it. Do it for 1 month and see what happens. So there's your positive thought for the day.
Thank you. And what are you doing for 28 days?
I'm going to continue to do the show. And by the way, I sent Blake McDavid, one of my partners, a note last Friday. I said, look, I worked every day this week. I looked back and I'd been to Goliad, Corpus. I'd gone to San Antonio. I said, I worked every day this week, and man, am I exhausted. I think I'm going to have to mail it in for the next couple of weeks. I can't do it.
What did he say?
He just, he didn't
There's
text.
no response.
He called. He called. You're kidding, right? So it says 3 standouts from the Senior Bowl. And I did not watch the Senior Bowl. Don't care about the Senior Bowl. It's an all-star game with kids that probably aren't getting drafted very highly. It says the national team, coached by the Dolphins staff, defeated the Carolina Panthers team 27-24. 100-plus prospects, kids that got to spend time with NFL coaches in NFL practice situations. It says there were 3 standouts that improved their draft stock, one being our own Texas Aggies, Kellen Mond.
Is this an NFL.com?
Yeah, it's an NFL.com recap. Says quarterbacks don't generally play much more than a quarter. But with 3 per squad, there are 3 per squad. Mac Jones was sitting out. The quarterback from Alabama sat out this week. Mond got extra time and took advantage of it and won the MVP of the game. He was 13-25 for 173 yards, and they were down 13-0, and he brought them to 16-13 with 2 third-quarter TD passes.
Nice.
And the NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah said Mond is making a little money today. So good for him.
Improved his draft stock, apparently.
He did well. One of the receivers, the best throw of the game, they said, was to Clemson wide receiver Amari Rogers. And he did a fine job. So that's one player they said did really well. Dez Fitzpatrick, wide receiver from Louisville, had a pair of catches, one down on the sideline and one, they said he was the high point, was catching a ball thrown over his back shoulder from Sam Ehlinger in the second half. So he did well. And then the third person was running back Michael Carter from North Carolina. You remember this kid? Remember the kid, number 2, I think he was. It was so fast and was spinning when we watched Carolina beat maybe LSU.
Yeah.
This kid was really good.
No, I like him. He's a good little running back.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your There's your update. That's all I got. I didn't watch the ball game. I don't know. When I was a kid, of course, anything sports was paramount. But now it's like these things. So yesterday they had like a 2.5 hour Zoom meeting for the NFL Pro Bowl. I don't know why they just can't all get together and say, and there's a point coming after this, so work with me. Why can't they all get together and go, my legs are too valuable, my time is too valuable, I've already played preseason in 16 games, I'm not in the Super Bowl, I don't want to play in the Pro Bowl. I've got more money than I know what to do. I don't need your free trip to Hawaii, and I don't want to play in the Pro Bowl.
They don't tackle. They don't hit. Why not take it and turn it into a 7-on-7 competition? Because
or skills.
That's what I'm saying. Because
they can show off.
Nobody watches the Pro Bowl to see. And I couldn't even name an offensive lineman anymore.
No.
Anthony Munoz pancake somebody.
What I was thinking of.
Right. Dean Steinkühler pancake somebody. Nobody.
But they used to play hard. It was an NFC, AFC thing. And for me, see, you go back to the late 60s when the leagues merged, and there was like a disdain there, a little hatred. And they used to play hard. They were like Pete Rose running over Fosse, and now it got soft. Deion Sanders really kind of ushered in the Olay tackle. Hey, I got you. The guy would step out of bounds. But now
Deion could tackle when he had to.
Yeah, well, he was so much better than intercepting. But they need to just step up and admit this is not. We're not going to do it, and they didn't play. But they're acting like it's a COVID deal. Everybody's like got their Zoom meeting going. It's kind of dumb. But it brings me around to
they're going to play this weekend, and they just played the weekend before, but they can't play.
No, they couldn't play. But we're going to have this week, folks. You'll want to tune in on Thursday, as we're going to have Dr. Quentin Shepard, VISD superintendent, and the assistant super, a gentleman that you'll like a lot. Greg Bonewald is a fantastic gentleman. Looking forward to having them on. They're both great guys, but looking forward to having them on and just kind of visit with them about the school board is going to vote at some point about whether or not to float a bond out. There are some very, very real needs.
I think they vote next Tuesday or Monday.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, there's some very, very real needs and some very deep discussions that need to happen. And I'm talking out of school here philosophically. So I don't always give a prelude to my babbling, but I am.
No, you just go straight to babbling. But I want to make sure that you know that I'm not in any way condemning the current administration of VISD, and I'm long on record as having been a big fan personally of Robert Jacklich and his group that were in there. 600 miles of excellence. Remember that? Every kid, every day. 612, wasn't it?
612 miles of sheer
square
excellence.
Miles.
Hey, anyway, love Dr. J. He's still a good friend. And yet, I think the school district needs to come clean with the idea, the observable fact of, man, we got some old buildings that ain't been taken care of, and they are in the rundown condition.
Everybody can see that. If somebody would just say, yep.
So here we
acknowledge
are.
That.
Instead of the Housewives of Beverly Hills, what we're working with is this old house. So let's fix this old house. And here's exactly how much it's going to cost to fix this old house. I can't even imagine redoing the plumbing at the old Victoria High School. I mean, it could be $10 million to redo the plumbing over there, but you can't tear it down and rebuild it for the same money. So you have to be willing to look at what do we do? How do we get here? And then you turn around and say, do we put 30-year long-term money, taxes on me for the rest of my life,
and then
to renovate a building that at the end of it, when you're done paying for it, it ain't worth nothing? I don't know. Except for the fact that school districts work off government money, and it's all been shown that children need to be together. I would love to have 2 days a week of recess and athletics, and 3 days of online homeschooling where every kid got a Chromebook and got after it. Quit building $100 million buildings, Taj Mahals to. I'd rather see STAR tests go up, see the test scores go up. But it's been proven.
Get rid of standardized tests.
I would too. Yeah, I'd like to find a test you could pass. No, but it has been proven basically that kids need to be around other kids. I mean, there's nothing new there. I saw a little girl yesterday walking into Target. She had the cutest little rubber rain boots on, and her mom and dad were walking with her between them. She had a pinky of each of them. And bless her heart, she was wearing a little mask. And I thought, you know what? I walked into Cimarron this morning to pick up this glass of tea, and I'm just like, everybody's in there with their mask on. And I'm like, come on, people. Can we just get on with living? I wasn't within 6 feet of anybody the whole time I was in there. I'm so tired of this garbage.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, I can't. I'm breathing on you, spitting on you. I'm just,
Yep. Please face that.
Right. So how you feeling today, Ash?
Today I'm good. Tomorrow, now that you just spit on me, I don't know.
How about this? The Adson.
See that video of the guy in the quick elevator, gets on an elevator and like literally spits in this old man's face? And the old man just beats the living crap out of this dude.
I love that. That's what you
and then threw him off the elevator when they stopped.
And then got back, and then because there was another lady on the elevator, I don't know if he was with her or not, but he lets her back on. And then the young guy that he beat the crap out of tried to get back on the elevator, and he shoves him off again. And
love it. I mean, you don't get on the elevator.
And they were all wearing masks. He pulled his mask down and was like into the guy's face. So I don't know what the backstory was, but elevator
some people just need a throat punch.
Yep. And boy, did he get it.
You won't feel that way at Atzenhofer. Since 1926, Victoria's dealer. I saw Tommy Taylor Saturday night. He said to tell all you folks hi and thanks for your support during this pandemic. Atzenhofer is still stacking them deep and selling them cheap. They're right down the road from high prices, right there on the DeVero Motor Mile. What else you got? If you don't buy it today, they'll be there tomorrow.
They've been there
since 1926. When that used to be out in the country. You came out in the country to buy a car from Ed Atzenhofer, from Bully Greason, and now from Tommy Taylor. It's a fantastic family success story, and they're a great dealership, and they are here for you. By the way, Atzenhofer.com, you can do all your preliminary walkthrough shopping online.
They take so many pictures of the vehicles. I mean, there's going to be no surprises when you show up and look at that exact vehicle.
Yes. Caleb Shaw makes a great point. He says VISD had a choice and he words himself carefully here, when they stole our tax dollars. Now they will reap the repercussion of that decision. You may recall that we did mention on the show here more than once that, they had to take that 9 or 11 cent tax grab. They had to do it because there was only a window provided by Hurricane Harvey. And if they didn't do it, they could never do it. And I remember saying way back then, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And they did it anyway. And then FEMA made them whole. Then they got the money that they were saying that they needed to do the tax grab for. And I remember Tammy Keeling, in paraphrase, saying something along the lines of, we're going to give it back to the community. We are going to give it back through better education. Oh, bull. That's bull. Yeah. Write me a check, give me my money back. So now people don't trust. And this, by the way, this is not on Quentin Shepard's watch. People don't trust. And it makes it difficult. A community will get in the habit of saying no to a bond offering, and a school district will go down the pot. I believe, for the record, that VISD needs some money. I think VISD has a reckoning with this community in order to get it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
White Trash Services, 550-1826, BJ Nelson and her team, Scott, Carl, the group out there. Great folks. Our buddy Sean Neely. There's a lot of folks that are involved with White Trash Services. such a cool place. We drove by the other day, and they got their first building. Then there's a huge lot. It's a piece of runway, right, out of the field. And then they got their second building over there, and to see all that fleet lined up, they're clean red and white trucks. White Trash Services is a sharp local family-owned business. Reach out to them. It's funny. That's
built on great customer service.
Just like all of our sponsors. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his group come out and help you with your analytics, help you with you want to understand what a Bitcoin is, call JP. You want to understand how to collect it over the internet and have it transferred into your QuickBooks, talk to JP. It's what he does. It's what he does.
And he's probably the best at it.
Razor IT Solutions. James Kerr says Dr. J retired directly after the bond failed. Now, I reached out to him and asked him, I said, what is your plan? What's your thought? And he said, look, the next bond's going to pass. They're going to clean it up. They're going to take out the stuff people don't want. By the way, this bond this is a show, to me, it's a show of faith, show of good faith, even though I don't agree with it at all. There is nothing in this $154 million bond package that addresses anything to do with athletics. There's no spruce up for the stadium. There's no new turf. There's nothing in this.
No gym rehabs.
Nothing about athletics. They seemed to perceive that the public was not interested in spending money on athletics, and they have not spent anything.
I'll say this though, VISD is kind of done what this city did, and that's keep kicking our infrastructure needs down the road. I mean, we didn't get to the streets in this community because we took care of them and built them as we went along. Our forefathers in this city, whether by design or just simply by, I don't want to say neglect, but it turned into neglect, but ignorance. Just said, we don't need any new streets. We don't need to improve our streets and our infrastructure. And here we are. Bad streets, bad infrastructure in Victoria. And VISD spent decades doing the exact same thing with their infrastructure. And here we are.
They're not going to tell you this, but I will. Victoria will never catch up to their street problem. So you've got
no city ever does.
No, but they'll
never growing.
That's right. As long as Victoria is growing to the north and west.
And cities that aren't growing don't fix their street problems because they no longer have the ability to do so.
Correct. If you're not growing, you're broke.
Ask Detroit.
You're sitting. You're waiting on your next boom, which has come along. So it's a real mess. It takes a commitment by the entire community to say, we want to raise our taxes. We want to pay more, and we want dollar for dollar of it to go into infrastructure. That's what it takes. We have to pull together. You see these gated communities, and one of the things of being in the gated community is you assume the responsibility of keeping up and improving your streets inside your gated community. Well, we have a city limit boundary. And as Victorians, we have assumed the lack of commitment to upgrade and renovate our infrastructure. We've done it for too long, and we'll never, ever keep up.
Well, I remember that's not always the case, because I remember when, I don't know which flood it was, Hidden Meadows had a back door access to Spring Creek Road. Or no, to Magruder. Mm-hmm. And when one of the floods came in and washed out their bridge, they just simply said, we're not going to fix that. And now they no longer have that access to Magruder.
Exactly. So James Kerr, this is an interesting comment right above there. And I think I can answer. Says there are 2 new high schools that have been bought over the last couple of decades. So we're making moves to improvements. I agree. Is that debt paid off yet? No. It can't. If not, can it be refinanced for a lower interest rate and paid off early? The answer to that is yes, but here's what I want you to think of as happening and use it as easy math. They built the schools and they took out a mortgage for, say, 30 years. And they've now paid 10 years of that. What they want to do, because you've got a certain tax rate that's allowing you, let's just call it $1,000 a month. They're getting the $1,000 a month. Now what they want to do is take that remaining 20 years and spread it out over 30 years. So instead of $1,000 a month, now only 600 is going to that quote unquote old debt. And that frees up 400, which when you add it to this new $156 million, allows them to do a lot of things as far as servicing the debt. That's how I understand it. That doesn't mean I'm right. The answer is yes, they could refinance at a lower interest rate and double up to catch up. But the reality is the school district wants to maximize facilities and maximize education opportunities. They're not worried about being out of debt. All they care about is debt capacity. Is that a fair statement? I mean, they know how much blood they can get out of the turnip, and they're going to spend it. They're just trying to maximize how much can we buy for the,
Fair.
for the money we
Fair.
get.
Yeah. I'm trying to enjoy the sunrise, and I see maybe some nefarious activity going on in the parking lot.
You see maybe a drug deal going on over there?
Well, there's a truck that pulled up and another guy walked up, and there's nobody else in the vicinity, and they're standing a little bit of ways. Now they're getting a little closer. It would be interesting to see what
Maybe
goes down.
video that, see what's going on.
We'll see if a couple of hands
Yeah.
reach out. Maybe there's some Russian
Take a
spy.
pic.
Maybe it's the Russian dossier
Folks,
exchanging hands.
920-6803, reach out to Cheryl for your next party. The Gray Barn. She'll come in and design a venue for you. She can decorate. She's familiar with all the venues in town. She's done weddings. She hasn't done
And some venues out of town.
Yeah. She will step in and take over the decoration of your spot. I've seen her work at Schrader. I've seen her work at
Club Westerner.
Club Westerner, yes. And she's going to do my funeral. So you've got that going on. And Cheryl is great.
She'll work with Dana Moore de la Garza.
Absolutely. 920-6803. Wind services for solar panels, for battery backups, for generators, all makes and models. Cummins, Kohler, Generac. I mean, they've got them all.
Briggs and Stratton.
They've got them all. Yeah. Gas, gasoline, diesel, propane,
natural gas.
They run on, I mean, it's easy. Reach out to them. They'll help you with your needs. And tell them Wade and Carter sent you, because they really will work with you better for that. Also, reach out to USA Concrete Coatings. Our buddy Charlie Garcia will
578 Homes, the number to call.
578
You got to
Homes.
call him before he'll come out.
Yeah, he's not just going to show up, but he can help you repair and coat your garage floor, pool deck, sidewalk.
Product that's 4 times stronger than anything anybody else is putting out there.
It's like kryptonite.
Looks great. Holds up, won't peel, won't fade, won't crack. And you've
can do it.
rejuvenated that sorry looking concrete slab.
Yep.
That, that you use all the time.
Matt,
Great for outside applications, pool decks, commercial applications. It's awesome.
Matt Oker, Mr. Positive, says the education cartel cares only about one thing: growing the empire. Adam Daughtry says we need to get rid of the establishment. I feel like I'm in the 60s right here.
Save your questions. We'll have time for questions.
Yeah, and I don't want this group to attack our leadership. I think these folks are extremely sincere about educating our children, and that does not make them financial geniuses. But I think I think Greg Bonewald will come extremely well armed to answer any financial questions. And Dr. Shepard has built several districts, so I'm not upset.
We're trying to
with
provide
them
a
at all.
forum for information,
Absolutely.
and we'll ask fair questions.
Yeah. What did James Kurth say up above? Because I like James Kurth a lot.
Fair and accurate statement on debt capacity. Government entities have no interest in being debt-free, but carrying debt over to provide more capacity. There's some give and take with that. Some of the give in this case is earning the trust of the community.
Yeah, it didn't give you any more, but that's what you
Yeah.
said. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, James. You know, you want to be inspired and have confidence that school leadership is working and look at that. Carrie Bump checking in. Say used to be Carrie Charbula, right? Now she's checking in from Florida. Good morning. By the way, I attended. We did a lot this weekend. I attended Carrie and Scott's wedding, and it was beautiful. Because of me, we came strolling up as they were getting her train out for her to walk into the. She said, "You're late."
So you're on time.
I told her I knew you'd wait, for us. She was a beautiful bride, and it was just a wonderful ceremony. So, congratulations to you two kids, and I hope you have a great honeymoon and vacation in Florida.
Craig Simpson says those who can't teach phys ed. I'm sorry, Simpy. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we have fat kids in North America and ADD issues out the wazoo in this country is because we no longer have phys ed in our schools.
Yeah, no
There's
kidding.
no outlet.
I mean, you've got to have. I think so. I don't know why. You don't see PE with purpose anymore. They send kids out and let them walk around the track, or they walk around and look at their phones.
Remember they used to have that thing that used to be on the gym wall, and you'd pull it out, and kids would be climbing all over that thing. It had rope climbs and
you can't do that anymore.
It hurt. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember those big wooden pommel horses that you'd stack? It took 2 or 3 or 4 of you to lift those things onto each other.
Oh yeah.
Remember they came in like 5 sections to get way high.
Yep.
Then you'd run down, hit the springboard. Guys that were really good would do a flip or two over it. The rest of you just hope to get your legs over it without breaking your kneecaps.
Caleb Shaw is angry with VISD. But Caleb Shaw now is my guy. It's my guy. I'm standing at his microphone. Caleb just doesn't see the need for any real taxation ever. So when you start with that premise, given the fact that all taxation is theft, of course you don't want to give $154 million to VISD. But I got some questions answered the other day as pertains to the Stroman campus and what they think the future needs to be there. And I was impressed. I very much look forward to sharing our format with those two gentlemen. I think
I've had some questions regarding that, so I'll be able to ask me to ask them when they come on the show. So I will.
Yeah.
So, just real quick, switching gears here. Have we heard anything out of the Biden administration regarding the crackdowns that are going on in Russia against this, what's his name, Alexei Navalny? Did I pronounce that correctly?
I'm sure you did.
I'm trying to hide it.
You're asking me about
the Russian. I can't be that obvious, right? Or
goodness gracious.
I'll blow my cover.
You're asking me, comrade?
I'll blow my cover.
What did he do? What is going on? What are the crackdowns in Russia? What are they cracking down?
Over 5,000 people have been arrested in the protests because this is the guy that has been a very vocal opponent of Vlad Putin, right?
And that guy's not smart.
And when he came back to the country, they arrested him. Now they've arrested 5,100 people.
If you live in Russia and you want to leave, can you just leave?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you now?
Well, pre-COVID, you could.
I don't know.
I think you could. I mean, if another country is going to let you in, I mean, countries, except for the U.S., other countries do have immigration laws that you have to follow.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
but anyway,
it's
interesting that they've said nothing. Yet these are the people that were very, very certain that the Russians were involved with President Trump. They have called the Russians the bad guys. And here they are doing exactly what they try to do, shut down free speech. It just shows you a little bit of where they are. When you look at the actions they're taking against a bunch of people who stuck it to the hedge funds and the capital firms, and then they say they've got to investigate it. And now they won't speak out against what's going on in Russia. This is because this is what they do. The Democrat Party loves to shut down free speech, freedom of ideas, the marketplace of ideas, and they don't want the little guy to get rich. Look at the Wall Street investment or donations I call them investments because you're pretty sure there's a quid pro quo on the back end of this. And you just
Absolutely.
don't quite see it. Look where all the Wall Street donations went this past election. It wasn't to the Republican Party and Donald Trump.
That had the biggest economy ever. By the way, the S&P 500 had its lowest or its largest 1 week shutdown since something like 2017 this last week. So
I don't give too much credit to presidents for good and bad. They just, I think
no, this
their
was Trump's
leadership
fault.
can help.
This
Yeah,
was
this
Trump's
was Trump's
fault.
fault. But I think all you got to do is look at and Dan Bongino pointed this out and I was like, yeah, he's got a point here. All those donations to the Democrats, and all those Democrats are now calling for investigation into the little people's actions into GameStop and other shorted stocks last week.
Wall Street bought the authority, the hammer of the incoming administration. Hey, we got to get out of here. The Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar and Brother Gary Moses, icon of all icons, taught Elvis Presley in junior high.
He was good too.
He said he was a good kid. He's a good boy. Actually, Elvis wanted to play football, and Gary said, sing, son, sing. Worked out well for both. You guys go have a great day. We love you. Hey, seize this month. 28 days of greatness right here.